Let's now bring in Bart Kemper, a forensic engineer who works on submarine designs. Bart, good afternoon and thank you for your time on CTV News Channel.
Good to be here.
First thoughts on the latest developments. You just heard from my colleague Jean-Vieve there talking about some sort of debris that has been found. What does that indicate to you? Of course, no confirmation just yet, but the fact it's been found near the search site.
Well, the entire area is full of debris field from the original wreck, the Titanic. So finding something there could be an indicator that the Titan submersible has been destroyed. There's really no way, there's no partial situation when you have a situation like this at these depths with this construction, if it's going to be either intact or it's going to be in pieces.
You know, I've read some of the interviews where you have said that OceanGate's Titan submersible was as an experimental with no oversight. Can you explain?
A bit of a simplification, but it is classed as a experimental. It's not a production model. It was not designed. It was not presented as a research vessel that's been, such as the Alvin, which is a very well-established research vessel. It's an experimental because it's using, it's not through classification, it's not to a design standard. The different techniques that were used, the different innovations that Mr. Stockton tried to bring into this makes it an experimental craft because it has not been approved by any sort of classification or jurisdiction oversight.
What is the typical industry practice here?
For these kind of depths, the most common thing you'll see is a titanium sphere. That sphere will have several windows in it as well as an access door. The reason you use a sphere is that's the most stable structure, especially with external pressure. The use of carbon fiber is a novel thing, and that was one of the things that Stockton was saying is an innovation and was one of the things he was trying to prove was going to work.
Now, in this particular case, one would imagine, like you were saying, that it's important for any vessel to go some sort of, classification with agencies required. But I'm just trying to understand, are these classifications by third-party agencies really required by law? I mean, was there something that OceanGate was doing which was not okay?
It was pretty tense to be people.
I'm an engineer. I'm not an admiralty law specialist. I do know that when you're in territorial waters, such as United States waters, you're under the Coast Guard. If we're in Canada, we've been under the Canadian Coast Guard, and they all have rules about passengers. Mm-hmm. So getting into something where we have a U.S. company going through Canadian waters and then transitioning out to international waters, and whether or not the mission specialists are actually mission specialists or passengers, that really is going to be a matter of law and really a matter of discussion. But overall, once you start having passengers, there are treaties and there are classifications of what you're supposed to do. And with what OceanGate was doing was classifying the people going aboard. Everyone was a mission specialist. There were no passengers. Mm-hmm. Now, there are tourist submarines that take passengers, and they're designed to take passengers, and they have an incredible safety record. In fact, Stockton Rush actually made several comments, including in the Smithsonian, that there is an amazing safety record. There's been no incidents with all the different tourist submarines as well as the other research submarines that have been designed using codes and standards, such as the pressure vessels for human occupancy code and standard for windows, and then the overall construction is monitored and overseen by classification societies such as American Bureau of Shipping or DNV.
So yesterday we went down in...
Bart, there is something of concern here. Way back in 2018 as well, I believe you were one of the original signatories of a warning letter to OceanGate. Talk to us a little about that.
Sure. And you need to understand that the letter was a draft and it was never actually issued by the organization. It was a result of a very organic discussion amongst the people in the profession. I'm a consulting engineer with a small firm, and we work in multiple industries, whereas other people are full-time in the submersible field. The concern was about standards of care. We know what the standard of care is because we have a very good safety record in the international submersible industry. And that is using codes and standards that have been established and worked out through multiple decades of work and accumulations of experience. If something doesn't work, we learn from that, we update the codes and standards. And the same thing with the classification societies. These different organizations hire experts. They hire people that know what they're doing, and they ask questions, and they if you have a change that you want to make, they have you present that and work that out. Everyone else is doing that. When OceanGate came out and says we're not going to do that, we are so focused on our innovations that we really want to push the envelope and bring in these new technologies that we're not going to use what has worked in the past. We're not going to use the codes and standards. We're not going to go through a classification society because, as he said, it would take too long to bring them up to speed.
Right.
We had concerns with that because that's not the standard of care.
Okay, we do know that there is another update scheduled for later today, and we will have